Hey guys, Ronald here. Today we're going to be doing a 525 Shadow Rebuild commentary. This is going to be my setup here. Ideally, more mage switches the better, and by more mage switches, I mean better mage switches the better. So if you can afford Ancestral, great. Magus Ring, great. This is for now the minimum mage I'll assume you'll have, but of course Ancestral is a massive DPS upgrade. Our max hit with this setup is only 70. With Seer's Ring, you might get a little bit more, but right now, I'm going to assume you maybe don't have one for some reason, so it's a little bit lower than you should expect. We are going to bring Seercull for maging Zebak, but if you have like a Bofa, it's probably pretty similar DPS. Bone Dagger will be used for Kephri and Baba, not really anywhere else. We'll have a DDS, and then we will use a Light Bearer for P2 swaps, so we can get a little bit more DDS for the 2 down. We'll be using Abyssal Tentacle, but of course you have like a Rapier or stuff, use that instead. If you have tankier melee gear, you can do a sword method for Kephri, but this setup assumes that you do not have very tanky melee, and we're basically going to be stabbing the overlords to death as a result. This is the invocation setup. Hardcore, walk for it. No help needed, Pathfinder. Make sure you don't have overly draining, so you can get a 2 down. Getting a 4 down with a blowpipe is going to be really rough on your supplies. I wouldn't really recommend it. Plus 4 down, you don't get any more points after the 3rd anyway. Everything else is going to be on. Let's go ahead and pre-pot. In case you're interested in my Chugging Barrel preset, this is what it looks like. Forgotten Brew Restore. Forgotten Brew overheals your prayer. Not really a big deal, but whatever. And you can use regular prayer potions if you're, being really broke about it. And we're just using a Brimstone, but you could do a, like, Mega Series, of course, would be better. This setup has 7 restores and a prayer regeneration potion. Have your occult and tormented on in the beginning. This will let you one-shot with Undead Grasp. And just grasp the first 2 monkeys. Then take out your blowpipe. Where's my whip? Here you are. Hit. And then get ready to grasp. This wave procs as soon as you kill the first guy, so just grasp and start blowpiping. As soon as you kill the shaman here, grasp the brawler. This gives you really good tick up time. From now on, you can just leave rigor on. Make sure you put on your melee gear back on. Reason being, you only hit 34s with this setup, but having your melee gear, brings it back up. This one I definitely have enough time to kill both before fixing, so I'll go ahead. You just play it by ear. Pop the volatiles. Take your time not to get hit. No rush. Just wave pre-melee. Yeah, no rush. You typically want to be shadowing these brawlers as you get ready to prep the solve for the next wave. And take your time so you don't get envenomed. Watch out this guy. That guy's really annoying if you don't kill him early. Flip up whatever's nearby. I like to leave the melee alive if the other things are accessible. If they're not really accessible, I'll go for the melee. The reason you can kind of leave the melee is because often you'll get him killed by the volatiles anyway. And if you do it correctly, you should have a pretty easy low damage room. Just take your time. Now let's go ahead and Bone Dagger. Now I know 5-1, if you don't, it's fine. Do 6-tick regular Red X, but obviously that's less DPS. Unfortunate. I think Baba hit me a tick early there. Yeah, he did. Sometimes Baba just spawns weird. Hits you a tick early. I don't know the reason for it yet. I'd love to find out, but right now I don't know it. Be like that. Make sure you use a regular ranged pot before you do these raids, that way you can one-shot the boulders. Make sure my prayer regeneration potion is active. I have a 5-1 guide in the description in case you guys are interested. Now I want to definitely make sure I let Baba hit me one more time before the next wave. That way she'll spawn the ranged baboons and I don't have to deal with them with the low, range defense. That being said, you're praying range most of the time anyway, so it doesn't usually matter, but just in case. I always go for a pot shot here, but it almost never hits. Okay, now they get run over. You can go back to praying melee. And yes, obviously in not as tanky melee gear, you will get hit. But that's okay. We will have enough spec for Sun later. Some of you guys may have seen the Baba rolling boulder skip that I do in like my faster 545s, but that's not something we're considering for these runs because it does leave the ranged baboons basically live, which is not ideal for money runs. Don't recommend that one. Oops. I believe, oh, that sucks. I could blow pipe spec here, but what I'm gonna do is I'll just play it chill. Wait until my Sun. Bang. Red X. Oh, that's not ideal. Anyway, ignore that. But fortunately, overlay draining is not on, so we are chilling. And you see 5-1 is pretty viable, even with like kind of not good melee gear, on the simple reason that you're just taking way less damage doing 5-1. If you just took less damage than me overall and you didn't need to Sun from random mistakes like that, then feel free to finish her off with Fang specs and whatnot. Also, this is a 4 Bone Dagger Baba, which is naturally very, very slow. The difference between hitting a Bone Dagger and not hitting a good Bone Dagger is massive at Baba. It's easily about a 20+ second difference hitting like a good one versus a bad one. Like, like a 1 versus a 20. Now this room is going to be considerably slower than if you brought Chinchampas, but that's going to be the compromise we're working with when it comes to, not good melee gear. And the dung setup is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to join a Runelight party. Keep in mind that this will actually affect my drop rate, surprisingly. Like, not literally in-game, but just the counter will be affected. By joining a party, I won't get MVP points anymore. Oh, just completely reset my unique, but that's okay. The unique for these is roughly about 1 in 6, in case you want to know the actual unique chance. For higher efficiency, you can uncharge your shadow here, but honestly, is a little bit of a pain. I don't really bother for Kephri. Feel free to if you can be asked. You can't Bone Dagger in the beginning of Kephri. It's still bugged. Jagex, please fix. But we'll just go ahead and stab. I recommend we start with a dung here. If your DPS is really good, like really, really good, like it is right now, just stay on this side. Don't wait out the dung. And what we're going to do is lure the melee over here and 1v1 him. He can't like bite you in the very like first hit, so just feel free to bring him back here and just 1v1 him here. You'll take some chip damage from the agiles, which is definitely gonna hurt when you're in, you know, bad melee gear like this. But it's definitely better than getting bitten for like a 60, right? It really doesn't hurt that much anyway. And prey ranged. Fight the ranger. But when Kephri is about to wake up, when she's fully healed, get your Bone Dagger prepped. I'm waiting a little bit too long here, and then Bone Dagger here. Then go back to fighting the ranger. Here, this is where you would be def charging. Then go back to stabbing her. We're gonna go ahead and dung here. You basically spam def charge, you can get some, you know, Voidwaker, Fang Specs, whatever you got going on. And prey ranged. Make sure your prey regeneration potion is active. We can spam dung here, but we don't want to trap the melee. We can also dung here, I guess. Doesn't matter, depends on your HP. No matter which way we dung, we'll have a ranger trapped. The second ranger, which is kind of nice. Now that we have both ranger traps set up, you pretty much you can't mess up the ranger trap at this point, because no matter where you're standing when the arcane spawns, the ranger will be stuck. We're gonna go on this side and we're gonna prey melee. Stab away at the arcane. I highly recommend not greeting 2 stabs on this soldier, which I used to do. Do not recommend. That is very dangerous. Prey range while you run up. Make sure you run here, just in case, depending on where the ranger got stuck. You see it'll actually shift him a little bit. And that's important because if you shift him, he can't see you on one of the sides. If you don't shift him, he'll be able to see you while you fight Kephri. Which is fine, because then you can just go on the other side, but still. In this case. Now let's go ahead and prey ranged. Make sure that is always active. Probably should have pre-potted one like fresh going into the raid. So have a little bit more time on it. Now, for this setup, since we didn't bring dung, chins, spam dung on the left side as much as you can. That way you leave the spot open for total time. Like, you can get to the next room a little bit faster. It's only roughly about a 2-3 second save, but you should probably, you know, learn to make it a habit so that you can always save that time. More advanced runs where you have chinchambas, you can dung the right side, as these agiles will essentially, when you're on the right side, get stuck here. And when you're chaining on that side, you're bouncing them off Kephri. Let's use up some of our Fang Specs. Bone Dagger is not worth to use in a solo on the very, very last phase. Reason being, her HP is not high enough. I'll try to save as many Fang Specs for the last phase as possible. The last phase is where she spams the most dung, and that's where you're going to generally have the most tick loss. Make sure when you're about to proc Kephri, you're very, very careful not to be against the dung wall, essentially. Be very, very careful. We'll probably get ranged a bit here, just for convenience. Again, don't lock yourself out of the total time. Tanking a few range hits is fine if you have the HP. Very minor time save if he's like 1 HP. Going accurate. Kephri will be your longest rune by far. Always go power. Now, this is up to you. If you're not confident in level 4 Zebak, go for it. I usually think Akka saves more time. Reason being, Akka gets an extra memory, which takes a while. And then this time save is typical mirror. Just have higher mining level. Hopefully at least 83, so you can depick spec. To skip, you want to click this when this goes green. Boom, just like that. And if you're 86 mining or above, or sorry, 85 mining or above, you will one-shot this. Yep. Now, go ahead and get your stuff ready. If you can be asked, uncharge. That will unlock Depth Charge. Depth Charge can be used on the shadows. If you make a mistake, you can stun, and then you can Depth Charge off the shadows, and that will be very nice to give you some more leniency for safety. Go ahead and eat your salt. I recommend, honestly, going in and then drop a sand feud if you don't care too much about the time, and make sure you have your adrenaline prepped. Having your adrenaline prepped means you can use it for an emergency if you make a big mistake, and then you can stun right after. I actually have no idea if Augury gives me a max hit here. Probably should have done some calcs, but let's go ahead and use it. The setup has a prayer for it anyway. Not the cleanest transition. Or else I'm gonna use Augury because I can. I have a ton of prayer. This slight step back right there is a good way to sneak in an extra hit on the shadow without losing too many hits. Well, not hits, ticks. Now, because I got hit, I gave Akka a chance to switch, and lore and behold, he did switch. Oh, I left it a little bit early there. Did I leave early, or did I just grief? Might have just griefed. I'm pretty confident that I don't need the spec yet. Now this just comes down to perfection. The more you mess up Akka, the more he'll switch. So I have no one to blame but myself for him switching right now. I'll prep my gear for when he switches. Oops. We'll chalk that one up to a little bit of lag. I definitely wasn't lagging, but that should proc. Now I'm at 46 HP, so a melee mistake can kill me. Once I get to 75% spec, I will go ahead and safe up. Remember, this is not a speedrun, this is simply just a chill money raid. So when you can play safe, please play safe. If you're running a little bit low on prayer because you made a lot of mistakes like I did just now, feel free to use the red pyramid, but I really don't know if you lose max hits. Ideally, you don't lose max hits, but I did check. I should have checked so I can tell you guys, but this is what DPS calcs are for, so we can find out. Or does I think this setup is fine to camp augury? Pretty sure it is. Hopefully we can make it to Aka's last phase. I'm not gonna say the word. It's a little bit inappropriate. Hopefully we can make it to there with 100% specs so we can spam Fang specs. Fang specs aren't amazing DPS by any means, but hey, it's more DPS, right? More DPS is always nice. This is where Seer's Ring is a little bit better than the Brimstone. The Brimstone happens just to be a cheap option that doesn't require any imbuing or anything like that. Probably could be a better transition for that. The goal is to make it to Zebak with roughly about 2 restores. Easy tip for transitioning double trouble: use an attack tile. Like, you know, one of the tiles you attack from when you butterfly, and then just run to the closest symbol, and then you can just go wherever you want from there. Oops, I should have ran there. If you mess up a stall in the middle coming out of memory, it's always a little bit safer to run back there, because you can always manually path from like this to this. Now, for safety reasons, if you're not as confident in P4, you can try to save your adrenaline here depending on how it goes. Ow. Now I'm obviously making mistakes, so what am I going to do? I'm going to set up. I'm going to use the rest of my spec on Fang specs to speed this up a bit. Ow. I actually struggle with this more than P4. Oh my lord. Anyway, but yeah, I could stun again if I needed to. Make sure you can actually pick up the water container. Now for this one, make sure you have a Seercull of Amethyst starts. Now, this is where not having max mage really hurts the most. This room is going to take considerably longer having shittier mage pitches, because Zebak actually has a considerable amount of defense. Having said the 40 timer is very, very generous, you will make it regardless with no issue. You actually don't need range gear on, you only need the quiver for the arrows. Or if you don't have a quiver, you can just have the arrows equipped, I guess. Now while you're chilling, having a great old time, switch out your Fang for your whip. We're going to prep that for P2. Oh, actually, your DDS. I forgot we have DDS. DDS instead. For this room, I recommend just lazy flicking augury. Overhead's just camp whatever's coming in. If you hit a good Seercull, 10 is a little bit slightly below average. You will, you know, deal considerably more damage. If you hit a 1, you'll be sad. Made a 25, you'll be very happy. A BGS and BOFA is pretty comparable DPS, but significantly more higher budget. Do not recommend. I don't know why I like to solve the waves. Stubborn. Feel free to wave skip if you want to. None of my business. I just like doing the mechanic, I guess. Another thing I should have checked. I don't know when I lose max hits at 124. I'll add it in the description. In Max Mage, you lose max hits only at 123, which is great because it means you can extend Assault's life. I'm gonna follow that same principle, but I don't know if it's true. I highly recommend you use a DPS calculator instead of going in blind like I did this raid to see when you lose max hits. Regardless, I am going to assume I lose him at 123. Is what I do when I have full ancestral, Magus Ring, and all that jazz. I guess if I see the max hit splat is below 70, then I will go ahead and result. Keep your prayer high. It's always good to have an emergency sun on your sleeve. Well, it says 69, and I know the max at 70, and 69 wasn't the max hit splat, so I think it's 123 as well. For the second set of boulders, or not boulders, rubble, generally want to be around there. Don't forget, in case pushing is not an option, you can always pull the jug. And we'll go ahead and resalt because we are below 123. If you have a Voidwaker, you would be using it to finish off a Zebak here, but I do not. I'm broke. Now, one of the main reasons I like going Zebak last is that you don't need a stamina for Zebak. But you do need a stamina for Akka if you go slow enough. I seem to have made some mistakes. Now, if you're chilling on prayer, this is honestly like a double power angle. Like, you have so much prayer, you can go double power here, but I'm gonna go life anyway. Oh, there's actually a salt and a thingy there. Anyway. That doesn't always happen. Chaos is kind of weird. So I'm going to go life. We have so much prayer now. Life is what I normally go. Rapid heal, augury. Chill here. Tank level 76. Level 75. Let the rapid heal you up to 76. If you know tick regens, tick heals, great. Highly recommended. Would give you a lot of extra consistency, but 525s don't need it. phase 6, turn it off, and now you can start flicking augury. Save a little bit of prayer. Warm-ups has the best tick regen guide for reference, as far as I know. I haven't learned it yet, but I know it's there. We're being cheap, so we're going to use the raid's potions first, not ours. Go ahead and adrenaline. I do my third shadow here, and then I wait a little about a second after that goes out the top is what I personally use, but the timing is very based on feel. I cannot give you a concrete answer. Okay. After we melt this down, we're going to go ahead and switch to our light bearer. Any moment now. Help. Kill it. Nice. But I am prepared to take more sets. Okay. Now that your spec has regen, switch on to your light bearer. You don't really get much DPS brimstone. I don't know if augury is worth it here. Usually it gives some sort of like damage, but it's usually a minimum hit. You may get a max hit. Make sure we have our ferocious gloves on. 5 DDS. That is not a DDS. That is not a DDS. That is not a DDS. I don't want to talk about it. So we gotta make sure we keep an eye on our adrenaline timer as well. We're gonna blowpipe this to death. Takes a while, but you'll get it through eventually. Ooh. Make sure we have our range thrall. I don't use the middle of the warden. I like the corner because I don't have to pay attention here. Also have my should have had my light bearer spec here, or light bearer on, but I kind of forgot. I have to let Warden get a little closer here, or I can blowpipe him. Let's whip this def. Make sure we def charge. I didn't mean to get into melee range. Incidental. Put on the light bearer. Nice, slow and chill. Fun tip, if he's like 1 HP, you can undead grasp and finish him off a little bit faster. I'll go ahead and whip this to death. You don't need light bearer on at this point. Go ahead and drop a DDS spec. We'll finish him off with a whip. You can see with a 52 max hit, you can still easily make it as long as you DDS at the beginning. Ideally, you don't waste a DDS spec on a whip spec like I did. It'd be a lot nicer. Double check our mage gear, everything's on. We have a lot of prayers so we can hard camp augury. I don't recommend Seercull for Wardens. It saves very minimum if at any time. Our salt's gonna run out soon. Let's go ahead and preserve. And remember, our drop rate is a little bit off here. It's supposed to be more than this. Me joining a party late into the raid kind of screwed it up a bit, but doing a shadow closer to Warden procs them a little bit faster. Now I want the HP a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and stab these, but feel free to skull skip if you're chilling on time. Definitely worth it for purples per hour once you're at these high invos. Remember, we're at 34 minutes Warden, and I am 14 max hits down. 14 max hits down from, you know, the highest you can go. This is chilling on time. If you have better gear than this. A Bofa will speed up your P2. Every single mage upgrade from here on out is going to give you a significant speed up. Now I'm going to go ahead and skull skip. Still need a little HP, so I'll stab this one here. And 525s are really good because overly draining is off, you can get away with low strength. Probably could have gone away with even lower strength than this. Again, if you did really well on Akka's last phase, didn't need to adrenaline, you get adrenaline right about like at 20%, that way you can stun twice for P4, but honestly, if you're not comfortable with P4 already, you should not be doing these raids. Dodge this boulder, and then we can skip. We can pray against this midway if needed. Now I am a little bit regretting not going that extra salt that Chaos had, but remember, it doesn't always give you a salt. I'm usually expecting to go power life. So I'm definitely going to lose some max hits here, dropping to 123, which is a little unfortunate, but is what it is. Dodge another boulder here. The rule of thumb I like to use for when to dodge 1 versus 2 Baba boulders is typically if a boulder landed in the first 3 seconds of the skulls hitting the floor, I will dodge another one. If it was later than that, like that delayed, then I will only dodge the one. Now for P4, don't be scared of the big shadows that appear on the floor. As soon as they become the largest size possible on the screen, that's like the cue to click them, and then you'll know they're safe for about 4 ticks at minimum. Bit of a noodle here. Oh, a little bit of lag there. Maybe more of a personal brain lag. cutting it a little bit closer on time. Feel free to kill some more skulls. That'll also net you a free extra minute. But we're still pretty chill on time here. $39 minutes. 525. Lots of max heads down. Win in purple. Drop rate should be about 1 in 6 at the end of the day. Nice. There you go. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.